Hello, my name is Emily, as you may or may not know, and as some of you may be aware, this channel is no stranger to, well, interesting culinary choices, let's just say. Sitting in the middle of Red Robin, just sucking and slurping on the toes of my foot loaf. Going to town to such a degree that the waiter is like, do you need a private room? But today we are going to dive head first, arms wide open, and a mouth wide open into the world of, well, disgusting food. And it's food that I imagine has to be bad on purpose because, well, it's sort of like if a person manages to get every single answer wrong on a test. It's not ideal, but honestly, at that point, it's impressive. Where it's like, wow, you were trying and it still ended up this way. Kudos. We're gonna look at rage bait, weird restaurant behaviors, food fails, and generally just dishes that are not worth being put into your body. Right? Not my body. But you know what is worth being put into your body? A high-quality multivitamin, thanks to today's sponsor, Ritual. You've probably seen these products everywhere, and now is the best time to try it, okay? Save 40% off your entire Ritual order with their Black Friday and Cyber Monday sale. I know for me, sometimes it's hard to do what's best for my health every single day, but with incorporating Ritual into my daily routine, I can know that I'm at least doing something positive for myself, and it takes less than 30 seconds for me to do. Essential for Women 18 Plus is a clean, high-quality, clinically backed multivitamin made for women ages 18 to 49 to help fill in key nutrient gaps in the diet. This multivitamin is USP verified, which is a third-party quality certification. This sets one of the highest bars for product transparency, and less than 1% of multivitamins have earned this mark. Also, Ritual is made traceable, okay? Meaning that they share where exactly their ingredients come from so that you know what you're putting into your body. Something that I love about Ritual's Essential for Women 18 Plus multivitamin is that it has this capsule design. So me personally, I can take it with food, without food. My stomach isn't gonna get upset either way. Also, sometimes when you take supplements, there can be a weird or unpleasant taste or aftertaste. Not with Ritual, okay? Alongside the women's multivitamin, I also got the Hyracera skin supplement, and they both have this very delectable essence to them. The multivitamin has a hint of mint, and then the Hyracera skin supplement has a hint of vanilla. So honestly, listen, I know that I'm a grown woman. Sometimes it does take me a little bit longer to swallow pills than I would like to admit. So sometimes things are lingering on my tongue for a bit longer than intended, but with Ritual, I really don't mind because it tastes nice. So going an extra mile for yourself and your body does not have to be hard, okay, babe? Not with Ritual. Essential for Women 18 Plus is now $19.80 instead of $33 during Ritual's Black Friday and Cyber Monday sale. Use my link, ritual.com/notevenemily40 and my code, notevenemily40 to get 40% off your entire Ritual order. And again, let's run that back. It is ritual.com/notevenemily40 and use my code, notevenemily40 to get 40% off your entire Ritual order. And thank you to Ritual for sponsoring today's video. Whew, I got out of breath. Anyways, on to the rest of the video. I do need to thank the subreddit Stupid Food. Without you, baby, this video would have never existed. So firstly, we are about to traverse uncharted waters. Let's just say that.
In order to turn hot dogs into delicious alcohol, I needed a way to extract the hot dog flavor into something fermentable. Surprisingly, hot dog wine is an understudied subject.
Right, so I do just want to say, your mind.
And since hot dogs could be littered with harmful spores of bacteria, we're going to opt for just using the hot dog water. But don't worry, the hot dogs will come into play later. Once I had a concentrated pot of hot dog water, it was time to sterilize it with a pressure cooker, which will kill any trace of microbes.
Wow. Wow, I will say I'm really glad that you're taking the proper sanitary precautions. Because imagine getting an infection and then dying a death via hot dog water wine. Not necessarily valiant, per se.
And now with our hot dog water added to the mix, all that was left to do was add our yeast and let this hot doggy mix ferment for 30 days. Which it did, and this isn't exactly what my mead kit was intended for.
30 days. I'm imagining leaving this in my humble abode for 30 days. You know, a guest comes over and they point at the corner of the room and say, "Why is there a huge jar of piss on the ground?" And then I say, come over for dinner next week and you'll find out.
Only issue is the hot dog flavor was
It looks
lacking,
so
but luckily there is a
gross.
way to intensify it. I grabbed more hot dogs to do something called a fat wash.
Fat wash. Wow. Okay, that sounds like something that Regina George would say. They are really, the dedication to this, there's a science to it. And I must say, I really do appreciate the commitment to the goal, right? There's no way that these guys, that these dudes think that this is gonna taste good. However, they still sat down and said, this doesn't taste hot doggy enough, and that's a problem. We have to take collective action.
Now all that's left to do is have a taste. If you could collect the liquid that's at the bottom of the garbage bin at a baseball game,
Yeah.
Ew.
final product was sweet like honey with a distinct briny aftertaste of hot dogs that made me question my life decisions and realize that just because I can do something definitely does not mean that I should.
Wow. Okay, I do have to say, them just downing it like that. You know, that reminds me, I just watched Frankenstein, and this is, you know, kind of the same thing in terms of just like making an abomination, right? Them downing the entire rest of the hot dog wine is reminding me of when Victor Frankenstein was sort of like, just kill me already, you monster! To describe something as liquid at the bottom of a trash can at a baseball game, and then down a hefty glass of it and swallow almost as if you are a starving python who has just sought out a baby capybara, that's really something. I do commend you guys on trekking soils that have never been trekked before. And I don't mean that in a colonizer way where it's like, well, actually someone was already there. I really truly believe you guys are the first to step foot on this land. You know how people say, I can smell the alcohol on your breath. This little number, I don't even want to know how this little lady sits on the tongue, okay? You get pulled over for a DUI caused by hot dog water wine. Yeah, the second you roll down that window, the cop is gonna be smacked in the face with a smell that could only be described as if 4th of July was only for people with liver failure. Hello? Right. Welcome to the Circus Dole. Tis lettuce. Obviously, the employees here are just doing their job, but I wonder if there's ever been a customer who just looked at them and said out loud, that's it? What, no backflip? Excuse me, this burger and fries cost $55, so I am actually expecting you to squirt... No, I would be expecting you to squirt ketchup and mustard into my mouth like we're at a hibachi table, okay? And you better be juggling fat, girthy french fries like they're bowling pins. Also, you know that joke of certain menu items being kind of embarrassing to say out loud? Something deep in my goozle is telling me that this might be the case. I'm sensing a bit of a boing boing bodacious bouncy burger bonanza. Hi, yes, could I get the Sally Slingshots the back of my throat burger? Yeah, I guess I'll go for the jumping jack blow out my back burger. Christ. So listen, sandwiches that can compete with the Empire State Building, I'm sure they have their place, but it's just not gonna be on my plate. Okay, I would prefer to eat my sandwich and not have to transform into a demogorgon to do so. Honestly, for me, I don't know, sometimes trying to eat a sandwich that is just too damn big, it just feels like a humiliation ritual. Back in the medieval times, instead of people sitting in a corner and wearing the big pointy dunce cap, no, they should have been made to sit in a corner and in front of the entire class eat a sandwich that is just entirely too big. By the time someone is done trying to eat this sandwich, there's just going to be a certain radius around this person that it looks like there was a parade happening, but the parade ran out of confetti, so they just use ham. Imagine ordering this on a first date. You know, I'll have the hamstrosity and the fine lady across from me will have the leaning tower of pizza. The waiter has to forklift in our meal. I just wonder, it's been running around in my mind, does anyone actually enjoy eating these sandwiches? Because for sandwiches like big ol' Miss Bessie here, I'm picturing more of a food eating competition sort of situation going on where people aren't ingesting these things for enjoyment, but to prove a point. Why is my sandwich tall enough to ride a roller coaster? Riddle me that. Mmm, delicious. Here's the sign that says, please only take one spooky dookie nacho per person. Happy Halloween. And then the nachos are served in a toilet with numerous hunks of what I presume to be ground beef shaped like dookies. So I know that it's called a toilet bowl, but you're not supposed to serve food in there. So toilet bowls, right? The humble bowl. It is going to have a little bit more to do with the end of digestion rather than the beginning. The concept of having a communal serving of nachos for Halloween, already interesting. Take that concept, push it even further. Have the said nachos be served out of a toilet bowl with the theme of shit. Utterly fascinating. Imagine you're a parent going through your child's trick-or-treating bag and you're not finding any razor blades or weapons or drugs, nothing like that, but you see 3 loose strands of lettuce, a smear of sour cream, and a big fat ground beef dookie. At least it's king size, right? I almost feel like I wonder if there's a sort of enemies to lovers rivalry sort of thing going on here between this person and a neighbor who hands out like pomegranate seeds and quinoa, right? The, granola person who's giving out apple chips is, at stakes with this person who's like, okay, well, you, bitch. I'm about to serve buffalo chicken dip out of a urinal. I definitely do get the sense that this was not made for kids, though. I don't think this is a trick-or-treating thing. I think this might be a college campus thing where everyone is so fucking drunk. But it is true that when you're drunk, a lot of things seem to sort of nourish the palate that might not typically. When you're drunk, with every bite of Taco Bell that you take, they're gaining a Michelin star in your mind. My roommate just washed a bowl of chips because they had too much pepper and now he's air frying them. Oh, these chips are a little intense. Do you mind if I throw them in the jacuzzi real quick? Listen, hopefully putting the chips back into the air fryer made them crispy again because the thought of eating a bunch of soggy, flaccid chips with the texture of a wet paper towel, oh, that's about to make me gag. That's about to make me gag and not in a way. I'm just like, how salty were these chips that they needed to be baptized? And we couldn't even do the traditional method of taking up the humble chip and doing a little swipe, 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 swipe to the left, practicing swiping on Tinder onto your chip so that it becomes less salty, right? I mean, we're having our bag of chips, sit center stage on a chair seductively, and then yank a rope, and then a bucket of water pours down on them. This is almost gonna seem completely unrelated, but I promise you, baby, it's gonna come full circle. I just got done reading the Joy Luck Club, right? And there's a scene in the Joy Luck Club where, it's also a movie, where one of the Chinese girls has a white boyfriend. She is bringing him to meet her family. And in Chinese culture, it's a thing where when you cook something, you have to be like, oh, this is probably going to taste like shit. So that people will compliment you and be like, oh, no, your food never tastes like shit. The mom put down some, I think it was green beans, and was like, oh, this dish it's not going to be salty enough. Like, you probably shouldn't even eat it. Which is code for, I slaved away all day at this, and Gordon Ramsay would even shake my hand in a firm fashion for what I just did here. But the white guy, he doesn't know what that means. He thinks that he thinks that she's just being for real. So he goes, oh, Mrs. Lin, I think Mrs. Lin, it just needs some more soy sauce. He dumps a bunch of soy sauce onto his Chinese girlfriend's mother's dish.
No flavor. It's too bad to eat. But please.
That was our cue to eat some and proclaim it the best she'd ever made.
Linda, all this needs is a little soy sauce.
But basically, this Reddit post made me think about, what if the opposite had happened? Where the Chinese mom puts the dish down and says, oh, this dish it's not good to eat. It's much too salty, you know? And then the white guy says, oh, that's all right, Mrs. Len. And essentially turns into one of those water park attractions, pulls out a giant fucking bucket of water and just jumps it onto the kitchen table. Huh. So was that an anecdote worth saying or not? Comment down below. An entire stick of butter and a chicken breast. An entire stick of butter tucked into a chicken breast. Now that's a nasty tuck. Right. Me when I order a hot dog, but I ask the vendor if he can replace the meat with a stick of butter and replace the bun with a raw chicken breast. Huh. Okay, so something is going to go ahead and tell me that if you can literally stick a utensil into the layer of mayonnaise and that utensil can stand straight up, even if just for a split second, might be a little bit too much mayo. If we're able to stick a flag in that baby like it's the moon landing, we need to reduce. Literally a sea of mayonnaise and butter. Okay, honestly, the end result, the chicken does look pretty good. And you know what? The melted bubbling pool of mayonnaise and butter, it does look like something that would be found inside of a witch's cauldron if the witch could only make spells that caused cardiovascular disease. But when I eat at a restaurant and it's really good, oh my god, it's absolutely delectable. Send my compliments to the chef and my insults to his enemies, right? Oh my god, we should start saying that. Sorry, I think I just did something. Jesus Christ, I'm like Shakespeare. Anyway, I see this guy stuff a stick of butter into this chicken breast and I'm looking at it, oh, it's grotesque. It's absolutely gratuitous. But then also at the same time, when I'm on a dinner date, the waiter plops down my chicken breast in front of me. I'm gobbling it up. Oh my god, getting in my protein. For all I know, this hunk of meat could have been in the back of the kitchen, bathing in 3 sticks of butter. And it's just completely unbeknownst to me. There was this one time that I was at this buffet and the mashed potatoes were so good. They were so good. Literally had me sitting there like, was that girl Sally? That girl who had an orgasm in the restaurant, whatever. And I was thinking to myself, how the hell do they make it taste so good? And then I remembered, there is probably an amount of butter in this that would shock me. And then lo and behold, I get back up to get myself a second heaping, right? There is a layer of melted butter that has separated itself from the rest of the county, right? There's a layer of butter that has annexed itself. And then of course I did what anyone else would do. I mixed the butter back in and just pretended I didn't see it, got myself another scoop, right? So I'm looking at this man sticking his butter into his breast and I'm thinking, ew, so gross. But honestly, who knows? My past sins may speak for themselves as well. So here we have blueberry compote for a burger. Now, people have combined meat and fruit before. That is not, those aren't waters untraversed, right? We have, lemon chicken, lemon salmon, turkey and cranberry sauce, apple smoked ham, the grapefruit method. The grapefruit method, people have stuck their meat in a fruit before. So while this is something that I would not personally enjoy, you know who this is made for? Who would just absolutely annihilate a blueberry compote burger? A bear. I feel like if I were to give this to a black bear, he would learn English just to say thank you. First of all, if I were to ever do this, I would have had a major shift in character and aura, right? But if I ever went for real camping, like in the fucking forest, in a tent, no Wi-Fi, that type of camping, I would also bring with me a blueberry compote burger and a side of honey and a slingshot. And then if I were approached by a bear on my camping trip, I would say, listen, buddy, I'm about to reason with you. I'm about to give you the deal of a lifetime, okay? I can give you something much more delicious than my body, right? If you can believe it. I would take that blueberry compote burger. I would smother it in honey like those. I don't even know what the hell sport this is, but there's a sport where men rub this sticky substance on their hand and they'd be slapping the fuck out of the ball. I would be doing that to my blueberry compote burger, and then I would slingshot it. However, if the bear doesn't chase the blueberry compote burger and it still wants to attack me, I guess I didn't think that far ahead. But hey, if anyone wants to do a live action Goldilocks and the Three Bears, they can remake it and get rid of the fucking porridge. Boring, sloppy, lazy. Replace it with a blueberry compote burger with a side of honey. Goldilocks, and make Goldilocks kind of like a reserved white girl, where it's almost like sushi is too adventurous for her. And I'm talking California roll, okay? She takes a bite of this blueberry compote burger and fucking explodes. Right. This looks like cartoon T-Rex meat. Only the Flintstones should have something like this in their home. Or you know what? This looks like in Toy Story 3, when all of the toys were slowly approaching that incinerator and were about to be burned alive. It looks like the T-Rex, the dinosaur, actually did get melted and burned, but the rest of the toys survived. And so in order to commemorate his death, they ate him. I guess my main question is, did you want it to look like that? If so, congrats. If not, condolences. But, there is that old adage of, don't judge a book by its cover. And I feel like sometimes that can apply to food too, because there's times where I've looked at something and, for lack of a better term, thought, ew, right? But when I ate it, I was like, maybe you're not so hideous after all. And listen, as someone who's not much of a culinary connoisseur, I do have to say sometimes I have the opposite problem where, I'll make myself a plate of food and on the outside it looks fine, but it's sort of like a Regina George vibe going on where on the outside, hey, I could take a bite of that, right? But on the inside, something fucking rude is going on. Because it's like, it takes so much work to cook sometimes, and then I finally take a bite of my food after all of my labor, and then I think to myself, oh, okay, so that's how it's gonna be? But anyways, yeah, I think that this cake could add a lot to a room. Confusion mostly. I think it could be a great addition to a party where the theme is, huh? Okay, so I'm gonna show you guys a few videos from this queen because she reminds me of the hot dog water guys, where it's sort of like, you really didn't have to do that, but you did it anyway. And I find that interesting. So I'm just gonna play a few of her videos, show you some of her delicious recipes, and then I'm gonna say who I would serve each of those things to.
Let's restock my pickle energy drink drawer. Every week I add 4 jars of pickles, green Hawaiian punch, and 8 cans of Red Bull to my fridge drawer, and when I wake up I drink a cup or 2 instead of coffee, and honestly it gives me way more energy than anything else.
Amazing. So I would serve some of this energy pickle punch to none other than Abraham Lincoln. I think that something like this would make those long bones fizz. Or maybe I would just want to give it to someone who's not used to powerful flavors, right? Perhaps a picky British person with an especially reserved palate. I mean, imagine having this with your beans on toast, okay? Oi, mister, your tum-tum's gone haywire. People say stuff like, imagine giving a Victorian child a Baja Blast. I raise you one and say, imagine giving a caveman a cup of pickle drawer punch. Whatever, it's going to cause a biochemical reaction that is powerful enough to kill him and then resuscitate him.
Let's make matcha ribs. I'm throwing an end of summer party with all my friends and I thought this would be perfect. Just boil your ribs in matcha latte for an hour, then add matcha glaze before grilling for another 20 minutes until they're perfectly charred. This is the ultimate combo for anyone craving both matcha and ribs and the perfect end to summer. So flavorful. So good.
I bet it is flavorful. I bet it's full of flavor, So I would serve these matcha ribs to a man with an Asian fetish who is also trying to gain muscle, right? And I know what a lot of you might be thinking, Emily, why would you be nice and offer something to a man with an Asian fetish? He's gonna get you. First of all, no, he's not. Okay. If a man with an Asian fetish ever tried to obtain me in any sort of way, I would literally say to him, listen, there's a lot of Asian girls that you can pick. who are not me. And hell, they might even pick you back from what I've seen. And that's for a different video. And it's really interesting because Asian girls comment down below, men with Asian fetishes are relentless. I don't know if it's like also like this for other women of other races too, but it's something that I've noticed where I've had instances where a man, particularly white men, who will be hitting on me, and then when I say I'm not interested, they literally just beeline to the next Asian woman in the establishment. It's almost like they're programmed to do that. It is so interesting. They just hang around the boba shop, just sort of meandering, you know, in the way that a hunter stays in the forest to capture a deer. But okay, this is a quick tangent. I promise we will get back to the matcha ribs. But there was one time that this guy was hitting on me and my friend, and my friend happens to also be another beautiful Asian woman, and he came up to us while we were sitting on this bench in Washington Square Park, and he was sort of hitting on one of us, but not making it clear who exactly he was hitting on, right? It's like he would speak as if he was talking to one person, but he would kind of be looking at both of us. And then at one point we literally just said, "Who are you talking to? Who are you trying to woo?" And he literally just, he takes a beat and goes, "Either one of you." And then at one point, the guy just kept talking. My friend stops him and goes, "What about this interaction is making you feel like you need to keep going?" So yeah, to get back to the point, I would give these matcha ribs to a man who's trying to get some gains, and he also has an Asian fetish, and I wouldn't feel like I was necessarily doing anything nice for him because, well, odds are, with peace and love, this probably tastes like shit.
Let's make Gatorade spaghetti and meatballs. Just boil your pasta in Gatorade for 10 minutes, then start shaping your meatballs and boil them in Gatorade. Once the pasta is done, it turns this amazing blue color. Add some Gatorade sauce on top and finish it off with those vibrant blue meatballs. It's a fun, colorful dinner that's packed with electrolytes and so healthy.
So I would give this to someone with an Italian fetish who's trying to gain muscle. Okay, next one. Butter? Was that butter? Wow. I'm not really a big coffee drinker. Can't say this makes me want to start, right? I will gladly just take my butter where it is supposed to be, smothered in the cold, wet embrace of a chicken breast. But really, to take a sip from a beverage and then have my delicate lips be greeted by an overwhelming grease, right? Not really something I want from my cup of joe. It's called a sloppy joe, not a greasy joe, okay? And to be honest, I don't really want Joe to be sloppy either. I want better for him. I think we have enough sloppy men in this world. Also, my least favorite part about this entire thing is how the butter comes out all stringy and just disgusting and loosey-goosey. It looks like if SpongeBob were in a Saw movie. He got trapped by Jigsaw and he did not make it out. So sticking with the theme of coffee, maybe instead of butter, we can use cum instead. What a garnish. So for the sake of this video, so I don't keep repeating, I'm going to say kerm, right? So it looks like there are 3 different flavors. Latte cookie kerm, matcha cookies kerm, and a classic white kerm. Just like the Lord intended. Just like it should be if you are healthy. Because let's just say if you kerm and it's looking like a matcha cookie crumble, the pH is off somewhere. I think this is a really interesting branding choice because it definitely does catch your attention. If I saw these names listed on a menu, I would have further questions. For example, is this a sort of red velvet situation where, you know, I order a slice of red velvet cake, there's not actually velvet in the cake, you know? Or is this more of a chicken nugget situation where it's, the name is what you get. Chicken nugget, it's a nugget of chicken. White kerm, Also, I know I already mentioned the phenomena of having to verbally say out loud wild menu items while ordering, and I have no idea if this coffee company is something about this coffee company is telling me that you're not necessarily talking to a barista while you're ordering it, right? But the concept of saying to someone in front of you, I will have a medium white kerm. Me when I work at the sperm bank.
What do you think, Quim's good? Mm-hmm.
Ooh. Oh, beloved. Darling, darling, darling. Your dog's tongue, gums, plaque, all getting all up in the banana cream, and then you're going, oh my god, this is so delicious. Okay. If you are eating a food that your dog is actively licking, I understand that sometimes sharing is caring, but it's not always sanitary. And it's not always necessary. And now what? Now you're going to be getting hints of pepperoni and tennis ball inside your banana strawberry ice cream. Also, aren't dogs almost famously lactose intolerant? I don't know if you contacted the manufacturer and said, hey, can we get a lactate version of this? But something tells me that Mr. Fluffy and Mr. Foodles, yeah, they're gonna be exploding soon. They're gonna be fertilizing your carpet later. So this one, well, you guys should just watch.
I literally love fishing.
He should try this with an entire pizza in a public pool.
This is a big one.
The gym shorts and the socks in the bath as well.
Dip dip. You know the rules.
Yeah.
That's busting hard. Sip sip.
Oh my god, I can't. Also, hearing the slight heavy breathing in the background and the sipping of the milk is really... Oh my
Send this to
god,
your
this
fishing
feels
buddy.
like a Stephen King novel. There's something about when a man burps. Also, sorry, assuming that this person is a man, I don't know. But this is a double standard. This is a double standard, and it might almost be an internalized misogyny thing where I'm almost thinking in my head, women aren't supposed to burp loud. So when a woman does burp loud, I'm like kind of like impressed, like, oh my god, like it's almost the same thing of when people like meet a construction worker or something and are surprised that it's a woman. That's misogynistic. So I almost feel like I'm also being misogynistic by saying when a girl burps really loud, I'm almost like, okay, and then when a man does it, I'm just sort of like, can you keep that to yourself? But yeah, that definitely, having a man burp just directly into my eardrum like that, I think I've said this before, but every day I'm trying to do something that scares me. So yeah, I will say, you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of that scene from Remy from Ratatouille where he bites a piece of the grape, bites a piece of the cheese, and then the flavors combine in this beautiful harmony. And he almost, I think Remy almost has synesthesia in a way, where he's seeing the flavors, he's seeing the flavors dance and warp around him, right? If Remy from Ratatouille took a bite of a soggy Hot Pocket that was soaked in the bathwater of a man who is wearing his gym shorts and socks, dipped into a cup of what I can only assume is lukewarm milk, I'm imagining the landscape that's about to paint, right? He isn't really going to be seeing little splashes and dashes of color running around. He is going to be transported into a battlefield. Now, ladies and gentlemen, hold on to your hats and hold on to your trousers. Don't get too excited now. Welcoming to the stage, Crockpot Hot Dogs. These look like the bodies of the settlers who went missing in the Roanoke colony of 1585. The only form of heat that these hot dogs should have seen in their life was cremation. Okay? Unless you could perhaps consume these, I suppose, if you were Timothy Chalamet starring in Bones and All. I mean, I do have to say that visually, these hot dogs aren't really going to be winning any beauty competitions, right? It's a little bit of a disgrace to the hot dog race. Dr. fucking Seuss. If you put these hot dogs in a family reunion with like a Nathan's hot dog, the Nathan's hot dog is not gonna come up to the crock pot and be like, oh, hey, cousin. They're gonna say, oh, fuck, the zombie apocalypse just started. And here we have a delicious homemade pizza. At least you know there will be a nice crunch. Yeah, sometimes I don't mind if things are a little bit crispy. However, if it's like 85% carcinogen, I'm just wondering how long was this in the f***ing oven? Because it looks like someone posted on Facebook, hey, I'm living in NYC and I'm subletting my oven for the weekend, and this pizza was the only person to respond. Next up, we're going to be looking at green bean casserole, Mima's secret recipe.
Nothing smells like the holidays more than Mima's green bean sink casserole. I look forward to this delicious American recipe every single year when I go home for Christmas.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. Whew. This looks like you are a veterinarian with a secret side hustle, which is connecting the discarded scrotums and gonads of the pets that you neuter. And I guess you just use it not for the dark web, but for Mima's casserole.
First, you're going to add your green beans in
Oh my god, this looks like swamp water. This looks like swamp water full of missing people.
To mix it around thoroughly. Growing up, Mima used to make this for the whole family, and we always loved it. After it ferments in the sink for about a week and a half, it should be nice and brown, so then
week and a half?
You know you've done it right when it's a little jiggly wiggly and it smells slightly rancid. Make sure you cut off a piece and give it a try and let me know how you like this.
Oh my god, I'm sorry. This looks like someone who was on death row was like, and I want to suffer, bitch. My last meal, it's not gonna be a fettuccine alfredo, it's gonna be this. Disgusting green bean donut. I commend that person for actually taking a bite. Obviously, I don't think that this was actually fermented in their sink for a week and a half, but nonetheless, it looks less than appetizing. Oh, like it just looks like something that would be served at Disney's Haunted Mansion. And it would be the scariest thing there, mind you. So this is basically the pretty sister of the homemade burnt pizza. Here we have a pretty glink? I scared myself. Pink glitter pizza. And I gotta say, this pretty pie looks like it's about to start saying to me that it's been changed for the better because I know you. But doesn't this look like something that Wicked would do for promo? Like Wicked x Papa John collab. Get your free Galinda glitter pizza with an Elphaba matcha stuffed crust. And I don't doubt that this is edible, but I almost feel this way. I almost feel about this the way that I feel about gold encrusted things, or it's sort of like, baby, I'm a simple woman. I don't need all the glitz and glam. I know you're saying that this is quote unquote edible, but just because something looks good doesn't mean that it'd be good for my body and soul. And that can apply to dating too.
Making pickle cookies.
Would you try this? Well, so here we have fried banana and bubblegum pizza. I did Google if this is, I guess, like a cultural staple anywhere because I didn't want to be disrespectful. So apparently in Brazil and Sweden, banana on pizza is very much so a thing. And honestly, I would try it. I think that I'm someone who I do like Hawaiian pizza, and Hawaiian pizza is something where in concept it's, okay, pineapple, ham, cheese, tomato on bread, but then you take a bite and you start feeling like Remy and the harmonies. So I feel like I'd be able to handle banana, especially if it's a sweet sort of pizza. What is the deal breaker for me, however? Mr. Hubba Bubba, you know those gum commercials where they go, wait, hang on, I'm gonna do it right into the mic. This is how it feels to chew 5 gum. And then the commercial cuts to them and they like go down a tropical waterfall through the clouds, and then they're in some sort of, Arctic Kryptonian ice wonderland. If they made a commercial for this where it's like, this is how it feels to eat banana bubblegum pizza, it would then cut to the main character in the commercial stuck inside of a rubber duck filled with farts and they can't get out. Sometimes when you're chewing a huge amount of gum, it almost just starts to feel like a punishment. It starts to feel like I'm training to one day be able to chew through concrete. So I can't imagine eating a dish where after every single bite, you're introducing a new glob of gum to have residency in your mouth, all right? First of all, I'm not even supposed to swallow this, okay? I know that it's a myth about the whole thing of if you swallow gum, it stays in your stomach for 7 years. But say, holy hell, if that were true, I mean, Jesus Christ, your stomach would look like a nude claymation Patrick Star. All right, and here we have candy corn sausages. Right, so this person is gonna go ahead and be neighbors with the spooky dooky nacho person. At least with the spooky, that's a Sally Soul Seashell to the Seashore. At least with the spooky dooky nachos, all of the components in the dish, if you want to call it that, are things that you would find in nachos. This, however, name a more iconic duo than sausage meat and candy corn. I don't know, perhaps an alpha male podcaster in a room full of women. Hi, Jubilee Video. And don't get me wrong, I get the appeal of sweet but salty, right? That's why I like caramel corn. That's why I've tried chocolate covered potato chips before, and those were pretty good. However, we do need to be at least a little bit discerning about our combinations. Imagine you say, I'm kind of in the mood for something a little bit sweet and a little bit salty. And then I hand you a candy corn bratwurst in a bun covered with sauerkraut and M&Ms. And then, to wash it all down, a wonderful milkshake, right? But I replace the ice cream part with French onion soup. Does anyone else make trash Chinese food with barbecue sauce? And then we have an image of bow tie pasta with barbecue sauce on it. A Zhongguo classic. Obviously, this is rage bait because if you were to show this to a native Chinese person and claim that it were even a version of Chinese food, they would look at you with the same confusion as a pilgrim trying to figure out what Mother Quake's shaking the Pentagon means. I can't even tell you what part of this is supposed to be Chinese. Like, maybe the bowl was made in China. I mean, I don't know. But other than that, it's just like, if this is Chinese food, that's the cops, they're coming. If this could be called Chinese food, then any assortment of any food could just be called anything, right? I could take a paper plate, slap some gummy bears and beef jerky on it and top it off with whipped cream and then say, anyone in the mood for Mexican? But yes, anyways, thank you guys all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed our little dive back into the wonderful culinary world. I'm thinking soon I want to write a video about fine dining and just the world of fine dining, like a commentary sketch video, because there's something there. Some of you are odd. Why am I paying? Anyways, never mind. I'll get into that on another video. But I hope you all enjoyed today. I hope that if you were eating while watching this video, that the food you're having right now is better than what I just showed you. And comment down below, what are you eating if you are eating? And if you're not eating, what are you doing? Let me know. I think that's it. Okay. Bye, guys. Until next time.